Welcome everyone to the year-end edition of the What's the Play podcast. I'm Brian. This is JB, CT, Brandon, Nate, and Jalen. So we're gonna get right into it. World Cup ended a few weeks ago. I want to get everybody's analysis. So we'll start with CT.
Everybody.
Growing up, I was a big Messi fan. I'm not the biggest soccer fan on the podcast. I'm probably like third or second. But growing up, I was a pretty big Messi fan, a Barcelona fan. I like the combination of him and Neymar back on those old Barcelona teams, and just seeing Messi finally get that monkey off his back, finally being able to win that World Cup. It was impressive, the performance he put on throughout the entire World Cup. He was the man of the match in 5-6 games. It was really impressive to see him finally, reach that stage where there's no argument for him to not be the greatest soccer player of all time now. People were always able to hold the fact over that he didn't have a World Cup over his head, and I'm glad that he finally got it in what might be his last one.
Great insight.
I piggyback off of what you said in terms of World Cup, but I mean, you got to add another dynamic into it. Like, you looking at Kylian out there playing soccer. It's clear that even though Messi is the greatest of all time, I don't think he is the best soccer player today, right now, currently.
I don't think he is either.
And I think that's where... And that's where Kylian take over. I mean, 3 goals in the final. Even to lose is still like, what they say last time, 1960 last time somebody did that? So it probably wasn't even on film. So did it really happen? So I just think, him doing something like that, it's really setting a precedent. He won it at 18. He won the first World Cup. He lost in the final 22. If he get that monkey off his back, start winning some Champions Leagues, then we're going to start talking different. No. He's in the Farmers League. It don't really...
He's using a monkey reference.
So he's going to have to...
Saying Barca doesn't mean anything?
I mean, no. Barca does mean something because that's different leagues.
But he's won the Champions League at Barca. 3 times?
No, he hasn't.
What?
I'm talking about Kylian and Mbappe.
Oh.
I'm talking about if he start winning something.
He's showing his colors. That's why I said I'm number 2.
Yeah, he's been in the Farmers League. It's France, it's PSG, and then Monaco? But yeah, so I think if he get to, not saying a real league, I don't want to offend any Frenchmen. If he gets to, a more competitive league, higher competition, and he wins a few Champions League, then we might be having this GOAT discussion maybe a few decades down the road again. So
before Nate goes, I've seen this argument against Mbappe on Twitter. Well, not really against him, but about his path to being the GOAT is that he really has to get stuff done before he gets to the point where maybe he starts to lose some of his speed because he's so reliant on the speed. What is your take against that? Because I'm not as familiar with his game as you two may be. So what is your argument against him being so, when he gets to the age of 31, 32, and maybe he starts slowing down, does he have the skill to match the other legends that we've seen?
The skill is there. I mean, if you watch the game, one of the kicks that he did from the left side, where
the kicks that he did,
the goal, one of the goals that he scored that was not a penalty on the left side, or even the goal that got misconstrued and kicked his teammate inadvertently. He basically weaved in and out and used no pace to get to them points in the game. So it's it's there. You can see, of course, the pace is blinding, so it looks like that's all he can do.
Right.
But you can see everything is technical. Everything is world-class trained. He's been doing this for years, so I really think he can move into a cam, a false 9 position as life goes on. But I mean, you 23 with that speed, I don't see that speed slowing down to maybe 28, 29. So you still, you got time.
What do you think, Nate?
For him? No, I mean, obviously. You talking about Mbappe?
Yeah. We were talking about Mbappe.
No, long term, I don't think he's in terms of his pathway to being the GOAT. Yeah, definitely needs to win more at the European level, in the Champions League. I don't know. These conversations are really, I guess, superficial. Because granted, he looks great at this age, but so much can happen now. Because if you look at Messi at 22, 23, he already won a Ballon d'Or, which is the MVP of.
Right, I know.
Just making sure.
Yes, I know.
Do you think he will adapt once his speed wanes?
The speed wanes? Yeah, he's technically sound. I think he'll be fine. Obviously his best strength is just pressing in his own half and just counterattacking, and he's his speed, especially like with him on ball, it's ridiculous. But he'll be fine. He's a very technically sound player. Like even in like ample space, there's been multiple instances in this World Cup where he didn't necessarily just like burn by a defender, which he has the ability to do so, but he's able to just like cut inside or like get around the defender. So that's
set his foot. One of them kicks, he just set the ball right there.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. But yeah, he's the best. Clearly, the young best player in the world right now.
Yeah.
Good argument to say he's the best player in the world.
It's not really close.
Or Martial, you know, he's kind of close. Rashford.
No. I mean, does anybody?
You're talking about the best young player in the world?
Yeah, but it's okay, you know.
Anybody have anything to add regarding the World Cup or soccer at all?
Do you have any other thoughts besides about Messi?
I mean, I've already spoken on Mbappe before.
But besides those two, just wondering.
Let's see. Who do you want to talk about? Throw a name out. Throw a team out.
That young kid
I'm
from
kind of
France
disappointed in
that
Brazil. Kind of disappointed in Brazil.
I'm not disappointed.
I am.
They're a fragile team.
I'm a big Neymar fan.
But they're a fragile team.
And Neymar's been a fragile player for the duration of his career. But, you know, I was hoping that this year was really the year because then in 4 years, Neymar's getting a little old. They have a good team, though. But, you know, I was really looking forward to Neymar.
Who else do you like on that team besides Neymar?
Fino. That's his name.
That's one.
Anybody else have anything?
Okay, this will be the last soccer thing, because we got to wrap it up.
Can I just say one thing real quick, though?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, like, all right, all jokes aside, like, besides the final, and, like, what I'm looking for, at least, like, to the next World Cup is, like, Morocco's success opened, like, the gates up for Africa, because now they have 11 bids going into the next World Cup. And, obviously, like, people were upset that you didn't get, like, matches where, like, you know, hypothetically, you would have got, like, a Portugal and Argentina final. It was possible, it didn't happen. People were like, you know, that's, like, the downside of having these underdog teams, because you don't get those matches, but at the same time, it sets precedent for like teams in the future or nations in the future participate and then inspire their youth. And like you don't see it happen in real time, but like it can be understated how big Morocco's World Cup performance was, because not necessarily now, but like 20, 40 years down the line, not only is that going to inspire their next generation, but hopefully now that Africa has 11 bids, and there can be a lot of African countries that are at the 2026 World Cup for the first time. That's huge. That was just one thing that stood out to me the most.
Like France, you know.
Do you want to say anything about the U.S. men's national team?
Not surprised.
No. I wouldn't say not surprised. I say they're on the up and up.
They're on the up and up.
I said they did their job for this World Cup.
There's stuff that needs to be addressed
out of the group stage, you know. But they have a very solid core on the team. I think they're just missing.
They're in an identity crisis right now though, because their manager is about to be canned. So
at the top.
They don't have a core. They have two players. Yeah. They don't have a core. They have two players.
Yeah. No, that midfield is pretty decent. I mean, when you compare it to the players on the world stage,
okay,
those midfielders play pretty
good.
This
is the last topic, because the whole U.S. thing. They're not a proper club. Well, when you look at them in comparison to the teams that they will lose to or that they've lost to, the problem is they put people out there who cannot make passes, like elementary.
They're not okay.
Passes.
Besides, like a few players, you're right. They're technically sound. I mean, they're not technically sound.
They need 11 players on the pitch that can all make pro passes, and they haven't, and I don't know if they will even in 2026. So until that happens, even if you have one not good player on the field, it will ruin the whole team.
Free G.O.A.T.
All right, so we had just discussed a generational player in Mbappe in one sport. And so now we're going to transfer over to another sport, what this podcast is known for. We're going to talk about basketball here. And a generational athlete put on a generational performance. I don't know when you guys are watching this, but we just seen the game last night. Luka Doncic had the first 60, 20, and 10 game in NBA history. So we're going to start with the people who didn't mention anything about soccer. Let's start with SportsFan. What do you think? I mean, we were at the bowling alley last night when people were that legendary performance. What do you think about Luka's 60, 20, and 10 game?
I was seeing the highlights in the background. It's just, you know, I kind of thought he'd be...
Turn the TV off, please.
Yeah, he'd probably be, you know, one of the best all the time by the time he retires. But I didn't think he'd be this good this fast. He's only, 23? At this point, it's hard for me to say he's not the best player in the league at this point. When he's doing what he's doing with the rosters he's playing with, 60, 20, and 10, I think at this point, I don't know. He just need a few championships. Is easily going to be the best player of all time.
Just need a few championships.
Just a few. Mark people gonna make it happen.
The greatest of all time.
No MVP needed?
You don't need that. Who's gonna do that?
Just a few championships.
I mean,
if he does what he's doing right now.
But I think there's a guy who has
the MVPs will come as well.
True. There's a guy that's 4 years older than him. There's a guy that's 4 years older than him that's putting up like the accolades and the accomplishments that you are looking for him to get. Like we're waiting for him to get it, but is he gonna catch up in a 4-year span to what Giannis has gotten to say he's the greatest player of all time?
Yeah, I think Giannis.
Because if Giannis stays on this trajectory, I mean, at 27 to have a ring, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, like
I don't know, is Giannis?
Because we keep discrediting defense. That's what I really.
We gonna get to that conversation.
We'll get to that.
Luka right
but
now.
So JB, that's on you next.
Greatest of all time. I mean,
I don't know. I don't think it's that far back.
You want to be last? Though.
Oh, I mean, no, I can go. I mean,
Okay.
it's a great performance to see. Obviously, 60, 20, 10. Obviously, it's a little surprising, especially like one of the shots that like JG was alluding to, where he just kind of had like a step back through to take it overtime. It was a crazy shot to see. If he keeps doing stuff like this, I mean, you like Christian was saying, you'll obviously have the MVPs coming because if you're putting up 2K my career numbers, I mean, it's bound to come at some point, especially if you're winning. So, yeah, it was crazy to see. It's crazy to see him put up numbers like this. It's not completely surprising, but it is surprising to a degree.
Yeah, now he makes the game look so easy, man. I mean, putting up 60 by itself is hard enough. 20 rebounds by itself is hard enough, and then to add 10 assists to that is insane. The pace of it, you talk about Mbappe, you know what I'm saying? I ain't soccer, you know what I'm saying? Go out range. You talk about Mbappe. The players that are able to make the game seem so easy and play at their own pace and style, and
It's gonna be fire.
that's what's like insane to me because he's not just going out there dunking on everybody. He's not like his athleticism or his body or anything like that isn't different from anybody else really.
he like a Schwebby.
He's built like a Schwebby, and he out there hooping like it's just crazy.
He looks like Jokic.
You know, he's in a
From
different.
Brady.
It's a new mode.
It's a new mode. It's about to be a new Luka
It's a new
mode.
mode. He's not in that typical mode that we see from the
Precisely.
legendary
Precisely.
shooting guards, point guards of our generation. You know,
European.
You know?
Indeed.
but no, it's
But
not
I
even
mean-
European. You know, that Larry Bird.
Nah,
don't
it's
even
still
want-
different mode, but we get there too. But no, I
The
mean,
mountains of Caucasus.
you talking about players that like Russ in his prime. Sorry, JG. And Harden, right? They have MVP level seasons where they're carrying their teams maybe like the 5th seed possibly, but they're putting up all-time historic numbers from like the 60s. If he does that again, keeps his pace, which I probably don't think he will. He's gassed every season. But if he does keep his pace, he has to be like top 3 MVP. I didn't think so because their record isn't that good, but if it improves,
Yeah, the stats. You can't. At some point, you just can't deny the stats. You know,
Yeah.
60, 20, and 10 is just so insane. You
Yeah.
know, from a watcher's perspective, you're just looking at the different ways that he can score the ball. You know, he often gets the Harden comparisons, but I don't really see it as much. They're both very ball dominant players. The offense is often centralized around them. But Luka's ability to get to the lane, score in the mid-range is also a part of his game. Harden wasn't doing much of that in his prime in Houston. He was often threes, layups, free throw line. Luka can do it all levels. He also gets to the free throw line. And, 60 points, like he was saying, it's just insane. 20 rebounds. And he had just played a couple nights ago. It's not like he had 3-4 nights off after Christmas. He had just played a few nights ago.
and the Knicks aren't ass.
Yeah, this isn't a terrible
Nah.
team.
They aren't.
They aren't, but they're not.
But they have no defenders on that team, really.
Yeah.
You're right.
But we're still talking about NBA level competition.
Exactly, yeah. 60, 20, 10. And
The hardest part probably the 10 assists for
I
them.
lost my.
Let's hold the Luka for like one more.
No,
You
you don't
can
wanna
add
let him
on.
finish?
Yeah, add on to the next segment.
Okay.
Because before we go on, there's just one player. One player
Can't say anything about
we
Luka?
had talked about this
I
player.
can't say anything
before.
about
No,
Luka.
we can do
No, we're
Luka.
going to.
No, we don't.
We're going to.
Let Nate get it. Nate got to get it.
I can't give my 2 cents.
He wasn't in the production. You can go ahead though. Go ahead.
Anyways, I was gonna say, man, he just threw me out. Go.
No. Okay, wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to waste time on that man that you about to mention. For real.
Not for real, no.
But I will say it's interesting because it's like I think his game is more comparable to like Larry Bird, but if he continued to like dribble or be a better dribbler, like you might see the fruition of this.
Larry with a bag, basically.
Yeah, like
Larry Bird with a bag.
but then also it's like I don't know if we get to the point first where they're like, let's get him some help, or is he the problem? Because now like he's putting up these generational numbers, but the 2 people that you mentioned, everybody got to the point where like, is Russ the problem or is he generational? Or they say, is Harden the problem or is he generational?
Yeah.
And it's like, what do they need to do?
Okay. It's a difference between the Harden thing.
Well, no, I'm talking about their MVP caliber season. I'm not talking about the line of work, because if we saying this is an MVP caliber season for like both of them, when Harden was scoring 50 points, like I think it was like 15 out of 30 days in the month that he was playing, and it's like you got to look at his game, and the game is working, but then it's like you got 20 rebounds. They don't have a center on the team. You got 10 assists. He's the point guard, and it's like they need to get that team better, because I don't want it to get to the same point where they're like, oh, Luka, he's just trying to get to where he needs to get to on the tier list and be good as he can be. They need to start winning this and that, because he can have an MVP, but then they're going to be like, all them other players that you put in the category, like you put Dame or you put Harden or you put Russell Westbrook, all of them on there, I don't want him to get put in that category. I'd rather have him take a step down, because you see all the players that get the most points, rebounds, assists, block steals on their team. That doesn't lead to winning rings.
Well, you also have to consider Luka is suffering from the same problem that LeBron suffered from early on in his career. Is that when you come into the league and you make your team so much better for when you step into the league, your team doesn't have the opportunity to get another top 5 pick. So LeBron came into the league, the team wasn't as awful as they were the previous year, so they weren't able to get a top 5 pick to put with him.
But we talked about this on like the last episode, but it was like that's up to Cuban and the team to be like,
right?
Because Giannis was putting up the most points, rebounds, assists, block steals on his team, and they went out and everybody said that they low key lost the trade, but they got Drew Holiday in return for that trade when they sent the people, or the same thing where they went and got Chris Paul for James Harden, where it's like, in a certain point, it might not look like it's the best possible deal, but it's like you got to get proven people instead of still having like your Dinwiddies and your Christian Woods. And it's like Christian Wood is good, but you can package Christian Wood and somebody else and try at least a little bit to get a proven player, and then that way you can move up. So I say, they've been having the Zach LaVine rumors.
I was gonna say I agree with that point, but I feel like
what does Zach LaVine do?
He scores. I mean, that's 20, 25 points.
but then they kind of already have. I mean, I know he didn't play as well, but like going back to Christian's analogy, like wasn't that what they tried to do when they tried to get team him up with Kristaps Porzingis?
No, that was them making the effort to do that.
They tried,
they tried
to prove it, like you were saying.
But those moves aren't comparable though. Like when we talk about like Drew getting moved to the Bucks, and
no, I'm not talking about Drew.
But I was saying back to his point, like Drew getting moved to the Bucks and CP3 getting moved to the Rockets. Those are moves when like the rest of your like roster is in contention to make that run. Like Milwaukee was ready.
Yeah.
Like Chris was ready. Like Brook Lopez is established himself. They were good. Same thing with the Rockets. They already had their system. Like what?
You right?
No.
You right.
Like man, stop throwing me off. But like the Bucks and the Rockets were like both ready in terms of like, all right, our run's gonna start now. If you look at like the rest of Luka's squad, there's not. Even if you make that move for an All-Star. That roster still ain't ready.
If they're a fifth seed today, like if they finish the season, they just made the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, they did.
I'm saying like one type of player where it's like, honestly, if they made the same type of trade where I know they didn't have a Tyrese Halliburton and he wasn't as good, they didn't think he was going to be this good when he got to Indiana. He was really good, but like this is really, really, really good. Mm-hmm. But if you do like a DeMontis Sabonis type of player where it's like you're seeing them put up the stats, you're seeing him, he putting up 18, 10, and 5, like on a team where it's just like he's carrying, or where they just did Jeremy Grant was putting up 22 points on Detroit, where it's like you add him to the teams. The players exist. They're on the teams. Aaron Gordon just got moved over to the Nuggets. There's at least 15 to 20 players like this where you can just keep minuscule moving up and adding the players every single time where you don't feel like you have to give too much away.
That's what they felt. That's what they did with Christian Wood.
Right, they kept
but you gotta understand, like you can't just say, okay, we got Christian Wood, let's go ahead.
A couple of the players you mentioned is similar to the Christian Wood move though, because Andrew Wiggins and Aaron Gordon are playing above the expectations that we had for them when they were moved on to their new team. Andrew Wiggins and Aaron Gordon were sold at their lowest stock in their career.
But even with Aaron Gordon, like he's not a number 2.
Aaron Gordon was
He was at
But here's the problem though. Aaron Gordon is not supposed to be the number 2, and that's the
Exactly.
problem with the Nuggets. No, that's the problem with the Nuggets. So that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon's not supposed to be
He's
the number 2.
on the Nuggets.
But I'm saying,
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Now
right
today
now,
he is,
he's
and that's the
playing
problem.
Jamal Murray is.
Jamal Murray and MPJ are
Michael
not.
Porter.
Michael Porter,
No, he's good.
So it's like he was supposed to be like 4th or like
Yeah.
to round out the
Yes,
rotation.
He's
He's
supposed to be
a
the
role
Jeremy
player, but he's
Grant,
playing
basically.
above the expectations that were given to him.
No, he's not supposed to be the Jeremy Grant. When they added Jeremy Grant,
No, I'm
for
saying
them-
when Jeremy Grant was in Denver, like that Jeremy.
No, he's supposed to be better than that.
What?
But still. But yeah, I understand his point. He was supposed to be the 4 that knocked down shots and played defense. But he's playing above the
But
expectations.
the thing with Luka and the Mavericks, they don't have a number 2. And you see,
Exactly.
when you get to the maximum with Jalen Brunson as a number 2,
Yeah.
you like another ball handler or whatever. Somebody takes the pressure off Luka, but like losing that kind of was a setback.
That's what
Even adding Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie, yeah, there are good role players, but like they're not a second star that he really needs. Not even a star, second playmaker, second shot creator.
Right.
Yeah, it's
as
not.
efficient as possible.
I think they were-
I don't
It's
think
definitely
he-
not like how.
I don't think
they
he-
might need a wing.
I don't think he needs a bona fide second star though. Like
Really?
we talking about bona fide number 2. I don't know because
How many?
if he's
Nah,
this,
I kind of agree.
if he's this generational that like we're saying, really the same where it's like Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons, we don't look at them as number 2s. They're really good, but they may not be number 2s.
Everybody needs
Simons.
somewhat like a solid or really good 2 player that's somewhat star. Chris Middleton. You can go back to
When you look at
Pippen.
Luka, he really has nobody.
Nobody.
That's what I'm.
We can look at the Raptors.
we
Wow.
trying to go-
Yeah, like
So-
he had Pascal.
They didn't
Siakam
have-
playing as
Pascal
number
was
two.
number 2.
But they went against the Warriors, and they weren't going to win that.
They, of course not, because they.
Well, that's 'cause it's Golden
that's,
State.
you can't. Come on.
That's because it's
Oh,
Golden
'cause
State.
But here's the thing,
KD Warriors.
y'all trying to get this. I can write an essay. Y'all trying to microwave the championships right here.
Yeah.
You gotta take your time because you can't just. I'm a shove 4 or 5 picks and I'm gonna give you 3 players and we gonna get a 2.
But that's banking a lot on drafting in the 20s and the 25s. Like
I'm not
CT
even saying. I'm saying you could take 1 pick and 1 player and minuscule and move up from there.
You're saying like you know Luka's going to stay there.
Yeah,
Luka has the
this is
option
a
to
naive
leave.
way of
But
thinking.
He wants
it's not naive. What do you got? 3-4 years left on this deal.
Luka
The deal does not matter.
That don't mean nothing. No more.
I mean, I know the deal don't
KD
matter,
shouldn't
but
be
it's
signed.
like you're making
he didn't
the
shit,
effort and the thing like this because it's gonna be even worse if you take all of this stuff and you try and throw it for Rudy Gobert and now y'all are losing games. And you get to lose. No, I'm not comparing it to Rudy Gobert. I'm saying you give all these assets for a player that may not work out or for a player that may get injured or things like this. Now you're back to either square one or below square one, and he's still going to leave regardless. It's like, because you want to set your team up, because now let's say Luka does end up leaving. If Luka does end up leaving, you're going to be a lottery team regardless. Like, it really don't matter. So now you're going to be a lottery team. You gave up all your picks to one singular team, and now...
But that's the risk you kind of got to take, though. That's what the Bucks
Exactly.
did.
So,
The
Quest,
Bucks
that's kind of
as you talked about.
That's kind of counter to what you've been
The
saying.
Bucks risk
already,
is kind of
though, 'cause
crazy.
you're saying
Because Giannis
that
could have
the
left.
minuscule move they made.
Yeah, but you
was
had to make
Christian
that
Wood.
move.
No, that's what
They
he
need,
said.
they need a
The
big
minuscule
move.
move for the Bucks was having them players that they had that were rising up and they were saying they can step into that role, and instead trading for players who had already had experience with those roles.
Question, though. I feel like there's only 2 players on the Bucks team, which are the main 2 players, Chris Middleton and Giannis, that was kind of through that.
The team.
That developed through the team. Everybody else was kind of quiet.
No. I'm talking about before they got Drew Holiday. Them players that came up, they were saying that they were potential players to move into those roles. They were saying that Malcolm Brogdon can move into the role. They were saying Dante DiVincenzo can move into the role. They were saying these players are going to move up into it. And instead of allowing it and waiting for it to happen, they took those players, maybe put a pick or 2, and then they traded it for a proven guy for 8 years that was putting up good numbers.
Brogdon's different, but for the most part, that's...
You're right.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. You get them players that you got already on the team that's moving up, because it's kind of hard because the Mavericks are like, they're doing away with their young players, but then they're also keeping the players that's like 26 to 29 and trying to, because Christian Wood is old. Everybody keep trying to talk about like he young. He like 27, 28. So it's like, y'all got all these players in here. Y'all got middle draft picks, and y'all got a generational player. So it's like,
Yeah.
So see what they did with Josh Green.
Come
He's
on.
the only person that got
Josh Green.
He having a good season though.
but that's the issue. This is,
Yeah,
if we banking on Josh Green, then
they ain't got no.
Who's the other guy that drafted in the second round?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's them two.
Lord,
Who's he available in the trade other than Zach LaVine? Who else is available at this point? Is anybody know?
Beal?
You know,
Bill's
you
not-
know who's
No.
available.
Too soon, Max.
He's got no trade
You know
clause.
who's about to get traded.
I mean, Aiton's
That
probably
boy
available,
wearing
but I don't
number
think
11
they
in
want him.
Atlanta. You don't want him with Luka.
Back to our up and coming young talent under 30. That's our next topic. Who do you think everyone give their take about the top player under 30 right now is going to be the highest all time at the end of their career.
Man, just one player. Let's wrap it up.
Should we try to not say the same player? Or?
Nah.
No, actually, yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
I'll go last.
One player.
One player.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I say my player. I can't say him. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and so whoever goes after you says the second, third, fourth. I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll take Giannis off the list then.
Okay. All right. Good.
Good pick.
You go?
All right. I got Jokic.
Good pick. Jokic over the Don? Okay.
No, you go ahead.
You got it.
Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Maybe that easy.
You say Jokic already?
Yeah. All you gotta do is join the super team, get a couple of rings.
All you gotta do. Join the super team, get a couple rings.
Zion.
Ooh. What?
That boy played 60% in his league.
He can make it.
You say yours first.
No, you
Go ahead.
No, we know what you're gonna say.
We know what you're
gonna say.
All right. I got everybody said one. I'm gonna say two just to take the first one off the board. I'm gonna say Jason Tatum because I think Jason Tatum gonna be higher than Zion. But my other name is a dark horse. All right, so hear me out.
Light horse.
His build too. His build's not gonna last up in the NBA, man.
But this player, he's in a similar mode of some great all-time players. I think.
Yeah, J.R. Smith.
Jalen.
Dion Waiters.
No. You getting scary. We might have to.
I think Jalen Green, got potential to be a top 40 player of all time. I don't know.
Okay.
Jordan Clarkson.
Top 40 that could be happening.
Top 40.
That's crazy, but that's life. I just think, are we still gonna have 6'3" guards in NBA in 2029? I don't know.
What?
He's not 6'3". He's
They built
6'4". You keep saying
He's Scoot Henderson.
He's 6'4". So what's Kobe?
Scoot is what?
They built
6'3"?
Kobe's not 6.
Barely
6'6".
6'6". If you can play defense,
He wasn't in the group chat, man. Kobe said he was 6'4".
My player is. I'm gonna simply go with Tyrese. I don't know if y'all wanna. And the reason I'm saying.
Why were you waiting for him?
The reason I'm saying.
Let's remember to say that.
The reason I'm really saying this is because.
Yes, that's
I
Tyrese.
looked at my Maxi.
No, not that Tyrese.
What other Tyrese?
Max. I thought they were my Max. I'm like, yo.
I don't know.
No. Halliburton. I mean.
Okay, that's fair.
2010.
That's fair.
At 21.
What? Yeah.
Where is J Kidd on your all-time list?
Top 50?
Jalen Green's passing that.
Tyrese is passing that.
I don't know if Jay.
At 21, averaging 20 and 10, and looking at them shooting splits, man. I mean,
that shooter form.
at 6'5", the form don't matter. It's hitting game winners. So I mean,
6'5" is the difference between 6'5" and 6'4". 6'5" is what does.
Yeah, as a point guard, and 6'1". There's 6'1" point guards running around this league.
Man, they might let Jalen Green play point guard soon.
So I'm thinking, man, I don't know. He might be on that Steve Nash arc.
Fair.
So
He
might be
get out
better.
of
I
Indiana.
think he might be.
Wait,
He don't need to get out of
so you
Indiana.
got Tyrese over Ja.
Yes, easily.
Is that
Tyrese
who
is better than Ja today.
Who you want?
I'm biased.
What is going on? You hear him?
Tyrese is better than Ja today. I don't understand why y'all keep discounting playmaking. To average 11 assists, are we really 21 points and 11 assists? That team who was supposed to be in the victor race after they traded Buddy Hield and Miles Turner are now.
Who they haven't traded?
They are now the
They're
force.
still on the team.
I know, but they were supposed to trade them and blow it up.
What does that mean?
No, but here's the thing.
They're still trying.
No, why blow it up from the first? Wait.
They wanted to see
Wait, why you acting like they?
Exactly. You're not listening. You're not listening.
He got him over. He got him over Ant Edwards.
Right.
I think they.
Ew.
No, I think they even.
Oh,
And it's different. I don't know. It's something that he do on that court.
And gonna be better than Ja?
You know Ant's
And gonna be better than Ja too.
Ant is 6'3",
Ant's 6'3".
but he a little.
I thought he was 6'5".
He a Lou Dort 6'3".
Facts.
It's them type. Scoot a Lou Dort 6'3" too.
I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say I think Shea got a chance to be up there.
I like it.
When are we gonna count the? Never mind. It's okay.
No,
Wait, who's the other names you was about
I
to
just
say?
think
I'm gonna say,
Shea's start to his career is a little bit slower in comparison because OKC just didn't let him play a
I
lot.
mean, the same
Kobe's
thing happened with Kobe.
Realistically,
No,
there's only like 5 players who have a serious chance at like cracking that all-time whatever number.
All time what?
Like top 50 or 100, whatever.
Are you serious?
You got
The
Tyrese.
NBA 100 is in 25
Over-
years.
my
You
fault,
don't think
my
Jalen
fault.
Green
Top
is
50,
making
top
NBA?
50, top
Here's the
50.
thing though.
It's not Green. It's really Zion.
That top
Luka,
10 point guard
It's not
list
Zion.
is not tough.
Zion is not in the first 5.
Let's be honest.
Here's the 5. Here's the 5.
Here's
Everybody
five.
listen up.
Let me hear
Everybody
five.
listen
Let me
up. Giannis, Luka.
Mhm.
This is a serious 5.
Under 30, under 30.
Jokic.
Yes, under 30. Jokic,
It's Zion makes
Jason-
it.
Jason Tatum, and
Zion.
Victor Wembanyama. I'm taking Victor
my
over Zion. I'm
God.
taking Victor over
Maybe that's
Zion.
somebody
What
that's
about
still
Joel
dead
Embiid?
yet.
Pause. What about Embiid?
Joel Embiid.
Oh.
I'm taking Victor over Embiid all the time.
At that point, why is Victor even not low? You might as well put him number 1. Why is
I wasn't in any order.
Embiid already top 10 in all time. You know that, right?
Okay, what do you think?
Ain't Kawhi 29?
What do you
Top 10
think?
bust
Kawhi don't play it though.
Say Kawhi, what?
Okay.
Moving on,
Kawhi's
man.
over 30.
No,
This
okay.
topic's
But
cool.
last thing, for real, Tyrese Halliburton, like, look at the top 10 point guards all the time.
Wait.
Tell me he can't sneak in at 7 or 8. Because
What's the top 10?
I just like Bob Cousy a little bit more.
No, you don't.
I don't like Bob Cousy more than, I don't know,
Markel Fultz.
Raja Bell.
Kendall Marshall. I think Kendall Marshall.
Is Bob Cousy really top 10? Hold on. I'm
he's
gonna
definitely
look up.
Is Bob Cousy-
He probably not even top 10.
That's the same thing where we say who is the 6th best small forward in the NBA today. That's where Andrew Wiggins' name start coming up. This is the
No,
same.
it doesn't.
It
No,
does.
No, it does not.
Let's say the names right now.
Andrew
Bron
Wiggins
count as
is
small
the
forward?
6th best small
Every
forward.
time
Bron
we-
count as a small forward.
Every time we have this
It's because
conversation,
y'all don't know what position Paul George plays. Y'all change
He's a
it every
small
time.
forward.
He's not. He's a
Does
point
Bron
guard.
count as a small forward? Yes or no?
I think he's a 2 guard.
LeBron, yes,
Paul
LeBron
George?
is small forward.
Okay, that's
if
one.
Braun
KD.
count, KD is a power forward. What teams are we watching?
KD's a power forward. All time he's a small
Are we
forward.
doing-
Currently he's a power
Are we
forward.
doing career or we just
I'm
doing?
gonna say
What are you
career.
saying right now?
Currently,
I'm
then
not saying
LeBron's a
career.
power forward.
So y'all think I'm saying he's the 6th best? of
No,
all
Wiggins
time?
might be top 5.
Actually, no. I got. Wiggins not even
Once
top
you
10.
move Paul George up and then LeBron
Wiggins
and
is
all
a
the
Paul
top
George
10.
is a
He's
shooting
not.
guard.
He's not. No. Wiggins not top 10 right now. Like right now. No.
Small forward.
Kawhi, LeBron,
Kawhi
Tatum.
better.
Get the fuck.
What
come
are
on,
we
man.
doing?
He averaging 15
Kawhi,
or 6.
LeBron.
I don't know.
No,
Kawhi
Kawhi
might not be better.
You're
right
so
now.
insane.
But let's keep
That's
Kawhi.
awesome.
Let's keep Kawhi.
Kawhi, LeBron, Tatum, Ingram.
Tatum's a small forward.
Andrew Wiggins is better than Brandon Ingram. No.
Tatum
We're
plays the
at
three.
4.
Andrew Wiggins is better than Brandon Ingram.
No. I'm not saying anything. I'm
Tatum
agreeing
got back
with
to the
you.
4.
Okay.
I'm
No,
talking about the
because
name that
it's
you're coming up with
Horford
after,
and
because we're at 4. And we can put Chris Middleton at 5 at small forward. But now
DeMar
after
DeRozan? DeMar DeRozan?
we splitting
DeMar
hairs if DeMar, because
Wait.
Oh,
Wiggins and DeMar DeRozan.
hopefully
basketball's a
still on top
2-side
right
game.
now.
Oh my god.
What
What
did
do
he
you think Wiggs is?
So
Scottie
even
Pippen?
if we put
Chris Middleton.
I already said his name as 5.
Okay.
So now even if we put DeMar DeRozan, who they said was an MVP candidate last year, right? Now Wiggins is firmly at 7.
Okay.
I could probably think of
So y'all telling me Wiggins firmly
He
at
say better.
7
He didn't say
as
better.
top small
We're
forward?
top 3,
That
top
is
4.
he top 2.
Firmly.
He
I ain't
firmly
gonna
at
lie.
7.
You may not like this.
I'm not hearing it. So it's the same thing with
Mikal Bridges?
Mikal?
Thank you.
No.
What do you mean no?
No.
What do you mean no?
almost threw up.
He's improved. He's improved, but I don't think
It's
he's
the
that
same.
good.
What does he do when the ball is in his hands?
You see him this year?
No, I
He's
don't.
getting to
I
it this
don't
year.
want to.
It's the same thing
He's
with
getting
point
to it
guards.
this year.
Getting to it. I want to see him do it in the
After you
playoffs.
get out Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, IT,
IT don't have it?
I'm
Steve
just saying,
Nash,
if you can
and John
average 15
Stockton,
as a fourth option on the team, you're
And
better than
maybe
Andrew Wiggins.
Russ.
You're better than Andrew
CP3.
Wiggins.
CP3.
Now he had 9. I got him at. Well, that's 7, 8.
Is Oscar in there?
Gary Payton, Jason Kidd.
Oscar not in there, please.
Oscar
No.
Robertson.
is not in there.
Come on, bro.
Bruh, if there is
No,
no,
they-
if
they-
there is
Wrap it up.
no
Wrap it
such
up.
thing
I'm
as
not here,
3-point
dog.
line hoops, man. If there's no 3-point line, the hoops do not
Gary Payton
exist.
gotta be in there. Okay.
Oscar.
Gary
no.
Payton
Oscar
over
Payton.
who?
No, we said Tyrese over Gary Payton.
So we're gonna wrap that up. That's gonna be the first part of the episode coming to an end. Part 2, y'all can check that out. It's gonna be more just wrapping up the year, talking about some other random stuff y'all want to see after our episode. I guess I would. Let's go. That's me,
3BG.
Demarco, Brian, CT, Brandon, Nate, JG, producer Caleb here again, and WTP. We talk to y'all later.
Tune in for the next play.